Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make Yorkshire pudding, or as we call them here in the United States, popovers. They are absolutely delicious. They are a roll that is made in the oven, but it is an egg-based roll, and it couldn't be any easier to put together because the favorite part of this recipe, at least to me, is that it's put together in a blender. We put our ingredients together in a blender and then we are going to bake them. And I'm going to use a regular muffin tray because a muffin tin works perfectly for this recipe. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from using a popover pan, but you really do not need it because they come out just as beautiful in a muffin tin and they are absolutely delicious. This is the perfect recipe for a brunch with friends or to invite someone over for coffee. They are so good. And the best part is you can add stuff to them if you want. You can use herbs or different cheeses. They're delicious plain, believe me. You can just eat them with a little jam or butter and they are divine. But if you want to get creative, you can just add a little sprinkle of herbs and just a touch of cheese, not too much because you don't want to weigh them down, and they will be delicious. So let's not wait another second and let's get started on making this quick, easy, and delicious recipe. For today's recipe, you will need 2 eggs. I use large. 1 cup of lukewarm milk. 2 tablespoons of melted butter plus another melted tablespoon of butter, which you will keep separate. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1 cup of all-purpose flour. You will also need some dry measuring cups, a wet measuring cup, a bowl and a fork, another bowl that is microwave safe with a knife and a pastry brush, some measuring spoons, a muffin tray that fits 12 muffins, or of course, popover trays that can hold 12, and a blender. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees, making sure you have a rack placed in the center of the oven. Then, once that is done, you're going to grab a microwave safe bowl, your butter stick, and a knife, and you are going to cut 3 tablespoons of butter, and then you are going to add them to that microwave safe bowl. We are going to melt our butter in the microwave, and don't worry about separating your butter right now. You can melt all 3 tablespoons together, and this is what it'll look like after a few seconds in the microwave. Just do a few seconds at a time. Now, once you've done that, measure out your milk, and you're also going to warm that in the microwave until lukewarm, not too hot, just a little warm. Then grab another bowl, a fork, and your 2 eggs, and you're going to crack your eggs into the bowl, and then you are going to beat them well with a fork. Now, once your eggs are beaten, just set them aside. Now, set up and plug in your blender, and the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to add those beaten eggs into the cup of your blender. We are going to mix these eggs with the blender to make them frothy and a pale yellow color. So depending on how your blender works, you are going to just pulse. I am using the puree setting of my blender, but all you're looking to do really is to whip your eggs up and to make them frothy and light in color. You're just going to pulse a few times for about a minute or 2. I like to use a pulse option because it gives me more control over my blender so that I don't overdo it. So just pulse, hold down for a few seconds at a time, and then take a look at the color of your eggs. Once you notice that they are nice and frothy and they are pale yellow in color, that's when you'll know your eggs are ready to move on to the next step. So there's no need for you to remove your cup right now, but I just want to show you the color of the eggs. This is what you're looking for. They're just frothy and pale. This is when they're ready. So Once you've reached that point, then now it is time to add your lukewarm milk, the one that you had just warmed up in the microwave. Remember, the milk needs to be lukewarm, not hot. We don't want to cook our eggs, so it's just going to feel slightly warm to the touch, not very, very hot. Then, of course, remember to put your lid back on and then continue to just pulse a few times just to incorporate that milk with your eggs. All you need is about a minute or so of blending to bring the ingredients together. Now, once these two ingredients have come together, then once again, stop your blender and take off your lid, and then you are going to add to it your flour. So measure out 1 cup of flour and then add the flour into that mixture. Then you can go ahead and measure your kosher salt and you can add that in too. Now, once you have both of these ingredients in, of course, don't forget to put your lid back on to avoid disasters in the kitchen. And then, once again, just pulse a few more times to bring these ingredients together. We are adding air, and that's really important to our popovers. So just pulse for a few more seconds and a few more times. Then, once you've incorporated these ingredients, once again, take off the lid and then grab that melted butter. But remember, we're only using 2 tablespoons in this mixture, so don't pour it all in. You are going to reserve 1/3 of that for our popover or muffin pan. So see, I left out about 1 tablespoon. Don't worry about measuring it. You could just eyeball it. Pour in about 2/3 of the butter, which are 2 tablespoons, and then just reserve 1 tablespoon. And then, of course, put your lid back on, and then once again, pulse a few times and bring the ingredients together. Remember, there is no yeast in these popovers, so the air and the egg are what are going to give our popovers their rise and that very typical puffed up popover look. So just pulse a few more times and don't be afraid to add some air. Then we're good to go. So now bring over either your muffin pan or your popover pan and then grab that butter and a pastry brush, and you're going to use this to just give each of these tins or cups a nice coating of butter. So we are going to warm this butter up in the oven before we add our mixture in, and it's going to give our popovers kind of a bit of a golden color and almost like a brown butter effect. It just really gives a rich color and flavor to our popovers. It adds almost like a toasty, nutty flavor to our popovers, which I personally love. So once you've used up all of that melted butter and your muffin pan is ready to go, it's time to put it into the hot oven. So what I like to do is I place it on a center rack in my oven, and then I set a 5-minute timer to let that butter get golden brown. Now, once your 5 minutes have passed, pull out your muffin tray very carefully, of course, because it'll be real hot, and look at that golden brown butter. That's exactly what we're looking for. At this point, I like to go back to my blender and just give it one more pulse. Just add a touch more air into my mixture before I am ready to pour it into my hot pan. So just swirl away for a few seconds and then remove the blender cup, as we are going to use it to pour our mixture into our hot muffin tray. So very carefully, you're going to fill the cups about halfway. Just be a little conservative so that you're sure that you get enough mixture into all 12 cups. You could always come back and add a little more if you've not added enough, but about halfway will work if you're using a muffin tray. Now, once all of that mixture is in, it's now time to place them into the oven. The tray is hot, so use your oven mitts and place it again in the center rack of your oven, and this time set a 32-minute timer. They are going to bake up beautifully Oven temperatures do vary. I like to start with 32 minutes, but I don't turn my oven off right away. Sometimes I let them go up to 35 minutes or maybe just 33. I watch them and I pull them out when I'm satisfied with their golden brown color. Look at how gorgeous these look, and look at that incredible pop over effect. This is what's so much fun about this particular style of roll. It is just rustic and beautiful, and it just pops right out of that tray, and it's very, very inviting. It is a light egg-based dough, and it is really puffy and delicious, and served warm, they are incredible. So just wait about maybe a minute or two until you're able to very carefully handle them before you grab them and pull them out of their hot tray. And then once you're able to grab them, just very carefully remove them from the hot tray and place them on a cooling rack. But don't be afraid to eat these nice and warm straight out of the oven, because they are incredible when they are hot. So don't cool them for too long, because you want to enjoy them just like they are. Hot, delicious, puffy, airy, so good. Notice how they make almost like their own air vent as they're baking. Some people like to poke them to release air once they've been baked, but I find that there's no need. Look at how beautiful they are. I am definitely ready to try one. I am going to have some with some apricot jam, which is my favorite. I also love them with honey butter or just butter. So good. Look at how beautiful they are. See how that brown butter makes them golden and just gives them like that nutty effect. It's just really, really extra tasty when you do it this way. And look at how puffy they are in the center. This looks so amazing. I can't wait to try it. I'm gonna take a bite. So good. I'm telling you, they don't need anything. They're great just as is. And of course, if you want a little sweet touch, then add your favorite jam, or like I said, honey butter would be great. Oh my goodness. Look at how yummy that looks. Wow. As delicious as I remember. They're so good. I love them every time. Wow. Oh, and I love myself some apricot jam. I'm gonna put a little bit more. So good. Look at how tasty this looks. Delicious. You're gonna love these. Look at how lovely this presentation looks. They are so inviting. Everyone is going to want to grab one straight out of the oven. Plus, they look spectacular if you want to present them for a brunch or for guests, or as I said earlier, you just want to have someone over for coffee. These are absolutely perfect for any time. They are so great, and not just for breakfast. They are spectacular at any time of the day and to complement a meal, a brunch, a breakfast, a lunch, even a dinner. These are so much fun, and everyone is going to love them. And like I said, you can serve them plain. You can add herbs and cheese to them when you're baking them. Serve them with some jam or some butter. Whatever you do, you are going to love them, and so will everyone else. They are absolutely delicious. You have to try this recipe. So how delicious do these look? I love their fluffy egg-like texture. They're almost souffle-like. And I absolutely love the way they look. They just pop up and they create this vent to let the steam out. So you'll see that a lot of them have that hole running in the middle, which I think is just absolutely beautiful. They are so much fun, and they are absolutely delicious. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And most important of all, remember to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on a single amazing and delicious recipe that I have planned for you. See you next time. Sally, that girl. in the kitchen.